Alright, I wanted to give you guys a long video to binge today, because it's been a while since we've got a lot of new GTA 6 info. We're kind of at that part where it's like, wait, who was that guy again? Who's Booby Ike? Who's Cal? Why are there rappers? And who's the bank robber? So I thought I would go back and re-record and rebuild all of my GTA 6 character breakdowns into one giant updated character documentary. This is a sit back and let it play version. And the goal is simple. By the end of this, you're not just going to know who these characters are, you're going to understand how they fit together, why Rockstar picked them, and what kind of story this is shaping up to be. Because GTA 6 isn't just Jason and Lucia plus some mission givers. It looks more like a web. A couple, the Keys, smugglers, a paranoid friend, a Vice City legend who prints money through a strip club and real estate, a music mogul trying to manufacture a hit, a viral rap duo tied to social media and trouble, and a bank robber who seems like the type of guy to turn every score into Russian roulette. So yeah, this is the full cast breakdown. Before we go character by character, quick ground rules, because GTA 6 talk gets messy fast. Rule number 1, I'm separating 3 categories. First, officially confirmed and described by Rockstar, which is the full bios, quotes, and themes. Number 2 is named but not fully described. They're referenced but we don't have a full bio. Then number 3 are characters we've seen in the trailers and screenshots but are unnamed. They're real faces, real presence, but we're not going to pretend like we know their full deal yet. Rule 2, if something is speculation, I'll say it's speculation. If something is a this looks like, I'll keep it in that lane. Because that's the worst thing we can do is turn a vibe into a confirmed fact and then everybody runs with it. And rule 3, the reason this matters is Rockstar already told us the core framing of the story. Jason and Lucia know the deck is stacked. An easy score goes wrong. Now they're on the darkest side of the sunniest place in America, caught in a conspiracy across Leonida, forced to rely on each other more than ever if they want to make it out alive. That sentence alone tells you this cast is not random. It's honestly pressure. Alright, now we can start with the center of it all. Who is Jason Duval? Jason is the most quietly interesting GTA protagonist Rockstar has introduced in a long time. Because Rockstar's description of him is not he's a savage or he's just a genius criminal mastermind. It's literally Jason wants an easy life, but things just keep getting harder. That's a very human sentence. And then they tell us how he grew up around grifters and crooks, did a stint in the army trying to shake off his troubled teens, and ended up in the Keys doing what he knows best, working for local drug runners. Right away, that sets him apart from the typical GTA power fantasy intro. He's not introduced as a boss, he's introduced as a guy who tried to get structure, tried to clean it up, tried to go straight, and the gravity of his environment pulled him back into crime anyway. The Keys are a perfect starting zone for a character like Jason because the Keys aren't flashy. It's water, small communities, old criminals, and people who have been doing the same hustle for decades. That's where Jason feels like he belongs at the start. Not because he's proud of it, but because it's familiar. And for Rockstar, that's the perfect setup. Give us a protagonist who wants calm, and then drag him into chaos. Here's the line that matters most to me, because it tells you what kind of guy Jason is. If anything happens, I'm right behind you. That's not business partner talk, that's we're a duo for money. That's loyalty, and that's also attachment. And Rockstar even frames it like this, meaning Lucia could be the best or worst thing to ever happen to him. Jason knows how he wants to turn out, but right now it's hard to tell. That's basically Rockstar warning you, this relationship is going to be tested. Now let's do a quick comparison. Nico was haunted and searching for meaning. Michael was trapped in comfort and bored by it. Trevor was chaos in human form. And Franklin wanted to climb and escape the neighborhood. Jason feels like a different flavor. He's closer to the trying to be normal but can't archetype. And the army background is huge for gameplay vibes too, because it gives Rockstar an excuse for why Jason would be competent in weapons, tactics, driving under pressure, flying, and survival stuff. It's not like he learned it overnight, it's like he's been trained. If Rockstar is really going for a darker tone here, I think Jason's arc is going to be all about his internal war. One side of him wants peace, the other side of him is built for conflict. Lucia is the spark that either turns that into a real future or a full burn. And I'll say this now, Jason feels like the kind of character Rockstar is going to make you empathize with. Not because he's innocent, because he's definitely not, but because he feels like he understands the cost of what he's doing, which makes the next character even more important because Lucia is not just his partner, she's really the engine. Lucia is not being presented as the first female protagonist as a gimmick. Rockstar gives her a full internal motivation and a full worldview. They say her father taught her to fight as soon as she could walk. Life has been coming at her full swing ever since. Fighting for her family landed her in the Leonida State Penitentiary, and sheer luck got her out. And then the key line, Lucia learned her lesson, only smart moves from here. That tells you everything. Lucia is not just tough, she's strategic, she's controlled, and she's learned the cost of doing dumb stuff. She wants the good life her mom dreamed of since their days in Liberty City. But instead of half-baked fantasies, Lucia is prepared to take matters into her own hands. That's a different kind of GTA ambition. It's not ego, it's escape. And one of her quotes is basically her worldview in one sentence. The only thing that matters is who you know and what you got. That's cold, that's practical, and that's really survival logic. Rockstar also says Lucia is committed to her plan no matter what it takes. If you've played Rockstar games long enough, you know no matter what it takes is not a cute line. That's either a promise she keeps or the thing that destroys the relationship. Because no matter what it takes eventually runs into what Jason is willing to do. Another key line is a life with Jason could be her way out. So for Lucia, Jason is not just romance. He's also strategy, he's also protection, he's also a path. And that's where the tension lives. Because if Jason is loyalty and survival, and Lucia is ambition and escape, those align most of the time until they don't. Let's be real, we all know what Rockstar is tapping into here. It's the couple dynamic, it's the outlaw romance, it's the we ride together. But that's also a mature theme because everybody knows how Bonnie and Clyde ends. Now, that doesn't mean GTA 6 ends the same way, but Rockstar loves using cultural expectations against you. So even if they don't do that exact same ending, they might play with that dread the whole time. Like every time Jason says, "I'm right behind you," you're thinking, yeah, until when? Even just from what we've seen, Lucia seems like she's going to be a character Rockstar wants you to feel physically. Her fighting background, the prison angle, the whole smart moves vibe. If Jason is the tactical calm, Lucia is the focus intensity. And if the game lets you swap or coordinate them in missions, and we've already seen this a little bit in the 2022 leak, then really the relationship will become the gameplay, not just a cutscene. Lucia feels like the kind of character Rockstar gives a real arc. Not just she's tough, but she becomes something. And if Rockstar is serious about the darkest side of the sunniest place, Lucia could become the ruthless one as they rise. Not evil, but ruthless. Because she's trying to control her life, and controlling your life in a GTA world usually means doing ugly things. So now we've got the couple, now we need to go to the supporting cast that shapes their world. And we start where Jason starts, the keys. Brian Heder is the definition of old school criminal pipeline. Rockstar describes him as a classic drug runner from the golden age of smuggling in the Keys, still moving product through his boatyard with his third wife Lorie, and he's been around long enough to let others do his dirty work. And that last part is important because it means Brian isn't out there proving himself, he's already established. He's a system. Rockstar also tells us a specific setup. Brian lets Jason live rent-free at one of his properties as long as he helps with local shakedowns, and stops by for Lorie sangria once in a while. That is an insanely Rockstar detail, because it makes Brian feel real, petty, comfortable, and old. Jason isn't working for the cartel, he's working for the dude who owns the spot he's staying at. It's small-time power, but it's still power. Brian is the starter boss that teaches you the rules. He's the bridge between the Quiet Keys crime world and the wider Leonida conspiracy. Even if Brian isn't the biggest threat, he's the one who shows Jason and Lucia how the local pipeline works. And characters like Brian often serve one of three purposes in Rockstar stories. First, a mentor who gets killed, forcing the protagonist to level up. Second, a boss who betrays you to protect his own skin. Third, a survivor who stays in the ecosystem and becomes a reoccurring contact. Brian feels like a 1 or 2 type to me. Not because I want that, just because Rockstar loves making you outgrow the starter world. Now, Lorie is only referenced, we don't have her full character bio, but the fact that Rockstar mentions her at all tells me that she matters. Third wife runs the boatyard with him, and the sangria detail. That's the kind of character Rockstar uses as either comedic Keys domestic chaos, or a person who knows way more than she lets on. And if we're talking about who could flip, who could talk to the wrong people, or even who could create problems, the wife who runs the front of the business is always somebody to watch. Brian is a gatekeeper, but he's also a symbol. He represents what happens if you stay in the Keys forever. You become a small empire, you get comfortable, you let other people take the risk. Jason is basically at a fork. Become Brian, stay small and survive, or go bigger and risk everything. Lucia is not staying small, so Brian becomes the first real test of what going bigger costs. Now we need to talk about who Jason's anchor is in the Keys world. Cal Hampton is the kind of character that Rockstar nails. They describe him as Jason's friend and a fellow associate of Brian's. Cal feels safest at home, snooping on Coast Guard comms with a few beers and some private browser tabs open. That is hilarious, but it also has tone. It's Rockstar telling you this world is funny, but it's also grimy and human. Cal has multiple quotes that make him feel like he's seeing behind the curtain. What if everything on the internet was true? There are way too many birds flying around in perfect formation. And the big one, the psychopaths are in charge, get used to it. That line hits because it's funny, but it's also not wrong. And Rockstar literally says Cal is at the low tide of America and happy there. Casual paranoia loves company, but Jason has bigger plans. So Cal is a mirror. Cal is stay small and Jason is try something new. In Rockstar stories, the friend back home archetype usually serves one of these roles. Comic relief that makes the world feel alive. A moral anchor to remind the protagonist where they came from. A liability that creates chaos. Or the tragic loss that signals the story is getting real. Cal really feels like he could be any of these. And that's why he's interesting. Because you can already imagine missions where Cal's paranoia either saves them because he catches something early, or ruins everything because he panics and does something dumb. Also, this is a small thing, but it matters. Jason and Lucia being a couple changes every side character dynamic, because Cal isn't just Jason's friend now. Cal is the friend who either supports it, resents it, or gets pushed out by it. And in stories like this, friends get jealous, friends get left behind, and friends get scared. So even if Cal starts as comic relief, he can become emotional pressure later. My read is that Cal is a temperature character. Cal is the kind of character that tells you how safe the world feels. If Cal is joking around, the world feels loose. If Cal starts getting serious, the world will feel dangerous. So I think Rockstar will use him to change the vibe on a dime. Now, we leave the keys and go to Vice City Power. Because once Jason and Lucia are in Vice City, the cast shifts from small-time pipeline to big image, big money, and big influence. In the face of that is Booby Ike. Booby Ike is one of the most Rockstar modern Miami characters in the lineup. Rockstar calls him a local Vice City legend who turned his time in the streets into a legitimate empire spanning real estate, a strip club, and a recording studio. And they say he acts like it. The key line is Booby is all smiles until it's time to talk business. That is the perfect warning label. Booby is the guy who can laugh with you, party with you, and even help you. But if you affect his money, it's different. Booby has one quote that is basically the whole Vice City ecosystem. The club money pay for the studio, and the drug money pay for it all. That's it. That's the whole economy. Legit on top, dirty underneath. Rockstar also tells us Booby might seem like he's out for himself, but his partnership with the aspiring music mogul Dracoan for Only Raw Records is what he's most invested in. Now they just need a hit. That line is important because it tells you Booby is not just another strip club guy. He's into influence, he's into culture, and he's into turning nightlife into leverage. And in Vice City, leverage is power. Booby is the first big league gatekeeper for Jason and Lucia. Brian is Key's pipeline, Booby is Vice City machine, and a couple on the rise has to deal with the machine eventually. Either they work for it or they try to take it. Booby doesn't feel like the loud villain. He feels like the guy who smiles and remembers everything. The kind of character that will help you, but only as long as it benefits him. And once it doesn't, you're disposable. So if you're Jason and Lucia, you're basically walking into a room where the air itself feels expensive. Now, the brains of the music side, Dracoan Priest. Rockstar says Dracoan was always more of a hustler than a gangster. Even when he was dealing on the streets to make ends meet, breaking into music was the goal. That tells you Dracoan is ambition with direction. He's not chasing random chaos, he wants a seat at the table. Dracoan's quote tells you how he thinks. Dancers are like my A&Rs. If the record's a hit, DJ's gonna be spinning it. That honestly is such a Vice City quote, because it frames the strip club as a focus group. He's testing records in the club to see what moves people. That's complete hustler logic. Now that he's signed the real dimes, Rockstar says Dracoan's days of booking acts into Booby's strip club might be numbered as he sets his sights on the Vice City scene. So basically Dracoan is leveling up, and in Rockstar stories, leveling up creates enemies, because everyone wants the same spotlight. Dracoan is the bridge between crime and culture. He represents modern power, not just guns and drugs, but branding, music, social media, and influence. And GTA is always about satire of the moment, so Dracoan exists so Rockstar can show how the new hustle looks compared to Brian's old hustle. Brian moves product, Dracoan moves attention, and attention makes money. Now we get to the characters Dracoan is betting on. Real dimes are not just rappers, they're a system. Rockstar describes real dimes as Baylux and Roxy. For instance, high school, girls with the savvy to turn shaking down local dealers into cold hard cash through spicy rap tracks and relentless social media presence. That is such a perfect modern GTA concept, because it's crime, but it's also entrepreneurship. It's illegal, but also content. And it's also just Vice City in 2026. Real Dimes have viral videos and viral hooks. And Rockstar also mentions their early hit with local rapper Downplay took them to new heights. Now, after years and a whole lot of trouble, they're signed to only Raw Records, hoping lightning can strike twice. So Real Dimes are a storyline tool for Rockstar to explore fame as a hustle, social media as fuel, and the cost of being loud in a dangerous city. Now, this is where people underestimate them. In a Rockstar story, characters like Real Dimes become magnets for conflict. Because fame attracts jealousy, rivals, extortion, clout chasers, stalkers, and criminals who see them as walking cash. So if Jason and Lucia are working around Booby and Dracoan, Real Dimes could become the reason missions go sideways. Not because they're evil, but because they're visible. And visibility is a problem in a criminal conspiracy story. Now, Downplay is referenced by Rockstar, but we don't have a bio. So he's in that named but not described lane. But he matters because he's proof that Rockstar is building a full music ecosystem, not just a parody. And any local rapper with an early hit in Vice City could either be a friend of the label, a rival of the label, or the dude who feels like he got used and wants revenge. My read is Real Dimes will be both funny and dangerous. They're going to be entertaining, Rockstar will definitely milk the satire. But I also think Real Dimes could be a real storyline turning point. Because in a story about a couple trying to survive, the loudest people in the room often get everyone hurt. Now we pivot from the culture to pure crime adrenaline. And that's Raul Batista. Raul is the big score guy. Raul is described as confidence, charm, and cunning. He's a seasoned bank robber on the hunt for talent ready to take the necessary risk for the next biggest reward. That's not a random side character, that's a recruiter. That's a guy building a crew. Rockstar also says Raul's recklessness raises the stakes with every score. Sooner or later, his crew will have to double down or pull their chips from the table. That is literally Rockstar telling you a breaking point is coming. Because a guy like Raul doesn't do safe. And safe is what Jason claims he wants. So Raul is a direct threat to Jason's easy life dream. Raul is escalation. He is the difference between we're doing shakedowns and we're on every screen in Leonida. And in a story where the couple is already caught in a conspiracy, the last thing you need is a bank robber pushing you into bigger heat. So Raul is either the opportunity that makes them rich, or the guy that forces the story into full chaos. My read is Raul is the temptation. Lucia wants the good life, Jason wants the easy life, Raul offers the shortcut, and shortcuts in Rockstar stories are never free. Alright, now we've covered all of the characters Rockstar has officially described on the site, plus the named references like Lorie and Downplay. Now, we talk about the faces we've seen but don't know yet. And I want to be careful here, I'm not naming any random NPCs like it's confirmed, but you can absolutely tell Rockstar is setting up other character lanes. We have the law lane. We've clearly seen law enforcement presence that feels more involved than generic cops. First shots that give off task force energy, like a character who seems more like a detective or a corrupt cop type, not just a patrol officer. And that matters because GTA 6's story framing is literally criminal conspiracy across Leonida. Conspiracy stories always have someone hunting you, someone buying information, and someone on the inside. So even without names, it's obvious the law side is going to have very specific personalities, not just random wanted level cops. Then we have the influencer lane. This game is drenched in only in Leonida energy. We're going to have influencer types, live stream chaos, viral stunts, and people chasing attention. That's not just comedy, that is storytelling. Because in a modern setting, criminals don't just fear cops, they fear cameras. And when you're a couple trying to survive, being filmed at the wrong time can ruin everything. So even if we don't have names yet, expect viral NPCs to be actual reoccurring characters, not just background jokes. Then the criminal faction lane. We've seen biker energy, street crew energy, club security energy, and key smuggler energy. And those factions usually come with named lieutenants and rival heads. So even though Rockstar hasn't revealed them yet, we know they exist. I'm saying all of this because people ask why hasn't Rockstar revealed more characters? And I think the answer is they revealed the skeleton. The rest is stuff they want you to discover in game. Now let's connect the web because this is where it becomes a real story. Jason starts small working in the keys. Brian is the local system. Cal is the friend who reflects what staying small looks like. Then Jason meets Lucia and Lucia is not staying small. That's the ignition. As they rise, they hit Vice City's machine, Booby's empire, Quan's label ambitions, Real Dimes is the product and the spotlight, and Raul is the shortcut to the big score. This is a ladder, and every rung adds heat. And Rockstar's own story framing says an easy score goes wrong and they end up in the middle of something bigger than them. So here's my theory about the pressure points. Pressure point 1, Jason versus the easy life lie. Jason says he wants easy, but his environment is built to deny him that. And as soon as Lucia is in the picture, easy becomes impossible. Because now he's not just responsible for himself, He's responsible for the plan. Pressure point 2, Lucia versus no matter what it takes. Lucia's commitment is the scariest sentence in the entire official bios, because no matter what it takes is where you lose people. Lucia might be willing to do things Jason can't stomach, or she might ask Jason to prove his loyalty in a way that breaks him. Pressure point 3, fame and attention. Real dimes are the loudest element in this cast. Loud attracts problems, and problems get people killed. Pressure point 4, Raul as the escalation monster. Raul is the guy who turns a manageable life into an unmanageable one. He's the one who pushes the line. And in GTA, the guy who pushes the line usually forces the ending to happen. Alright, that's the full character web as we know it right now. And what I love about this lineup is it feels modern without feeling goofy. It feels like Rockstar is still going to give us humor, weirdos, and satire. But the core story, the couple, the conspiracy, the pressure feels heavier than GTA 5's overall vibe. But now with all of that, I want to hear from you. Who do you think is the most dangerous person in this entire cast? Is it Brian, Booby, Raul, or somebody we haven't even met yet? Drop your take in the comments below. I'll be reading through all of them. And while you're at it, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more videos just like this one. Alright, with that all out of the way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.